Once, but by welcome to podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, we're going to be previewing Gears 5. Now, Gears 5 releases on September 10th exclusively on Microsoft platforms. So this is the next iteration in the Gears of War franchise. Obviously, the first one in which they are stopping calling it Gears of War, just Gears 5, condensing it, kind of making it a little bit of a reboot, and that's also shown with the fact that we are now switching characters. Okay, now that we're jumping to a different character, a character that was in Gears 4, but no longer not just a side character, but as a main character. And really, what Gears 5 I think means to Microsoft is more than just a game, is more than just the switching of a character, is more than just a new iteration in a franchise. This is one of the big ones for, I believe, and I personally feel, a lot of years, the last couple of years. You look at all the games that Microsoft and even their studios own. You look at a lot of the games that have come out in general, and a lot of them have been misses. Okay, they haven't really been able to string together any solid entries to any of their games. Besides, I would argue some of their smaller games, even like the Ori franchise is a phenomenal franchise, and they have gotten success there. But when you look to Gears, when you look to Halo coming next year, you look at their big. These are their top dog franchises, and franchises that, again, you could still even argue have been going on the decline for a couple iterations and a couple years. Now, I'm getting Gears 5. This will be the first Gears of War game that I own, and so I'm not bashing it. I think this game is going to be rather good. I think this game is going to be a surprise in that, I feel like not a lot of people are maybe even giving it the respect that I still think Gears, out of all of the games, still kind of deserves. I think Gears of War is a very, very solid franchise, and when you look at Halo, you get even a lot of the hardcore Halo following, and a lot of the hardcore Halo players say, this game has dropped off significantly over the last, I'd say, 3-4 plus versions. I mean, they have really started to take steps back. It's not the dominant force that it once was. Now, you can argue whether Halo is still the beast that it once was, and you can have that argument all day long, but Gears, I feel like, has been that franchise that if it has taken a step back, it hasn't taken the biggest step back. I think Gears is still looked at as really what it always was, and that is a very, very solid shooter, and really a game that popularized the shooting genre that it basically started. I mean, that kind of over the like the camera being farther out than most games that were third person at the time. And just the mechanics overall. Gears of War is a very special game. The story has always kind of been, I feel like the story it has a lot of potential, but it's never reached its potential. I feel like that is what Gears has always been looked at as, is that it's a phenomenal shooter. It's got phenomenal gameplay mechanics, and this one looks no different, by the way. It looks great. It's got the shooting mechanics. The online multiplayer looks as fun as ever, looks as hectic as ever, looks as gruesome and gory and hardcore. It really seems very hardcore in how you actually play it. The best players in Gears, you can truly tell that they're the best players if you watch multiplayer matches of like those top dogs. They're very, very good. But when you and so all that stuff's fine, and all that stuff I believe is still here for Gears 5. I think it's still just as good as it's ever been, maybe even better. And then you look at the single player, and it's like they just consistently, in my opinion, and I think to some people as well, they just never nail it. There is potential to that story, but they've never nailed it. Whereas Halo, I think, gets that look where, obviously with the success of the first couple, and especially even the story, I mean, we know what it did for popularizing, just multiplayer in general, but the story really did nail something special as well for Halo, and I feel like when you look at it now, you just see people say, well, they've never quite lived up to what it once was, and Gears, I feel like, is a little bit different because they've never really achieved that top level status. You've never looked at a Gears campaign and say, like, a Gears campaign, you can't ever look at it and say this is one of the top 10 best single-player games or single-player stories of all time. These characters are like a top 5 best characters ever in a game. They don't have any of that. Now, does every game have that? No, because it would be obviously a small list, and not every game's going to make that list, but it just doesn't have it, and I feel like the potential has always been there. I feel like with every passing game in the franchise, it's losing the ability to get there. I feel like it's kind of like, all right, you still can't nail the story that I think you should be able to nail. And we're now on the 5th game, and you keep coming out. And like I said, I mean, this is a really big moment, I believe. And again, I'm trying not to bash it super hard because I'm buying this game day one. I'm supporting this game. This is one of the only Xbox games I think I'll ever personally buy. I mainly play PlayStation, so I mean, I'm actually spending my money to buy this game. The thing is, Microsoft though really needs this game to be big. I truly believe that. As it seems more and more that we're looking at the landscape of Microsoft, it seems like they don't expect Xbox and they don't need it. And they've even said that. They don't even need it to make them money. They don't care how many people are playing it. And to me, that's quite worrying. That's not really something I'd like to hear out of a company, but they have said it. They really don't care how many copies they sell of a game. They don't care how many systems they sell. They just want, people obviously should be playing it, and they want people to be playing it. But in my opinion, you look at it, and you look at all of the major games Sony has had, really not having many misses at all. Even Days Gone, you could argue, was their miss, quote unquote, of this year. Still sold 3, 4, 5 million copies, and still has quite a hardcore following. So you can't even argue. I mean, you can argue that it was a miss, but it still did extremely, extremely well. So now we're back on Microsoft. Their last exclusive game that had any kind of big, talk about it, even though they kind of try to suppress it completely, rightly so, was Crackdown 3. This is the next one. They really need this game to be something special because, yes, they've acquired all of these studios. Yes, there's, I guess, eventually going to be exclusive games that come out of these studios. Up until now, they've really failed to do basically anything with any of these studios and with any of these properties. We saw them with Remedy Games, even Remedy Entertainment, giving Alan Wake back to them because they were doing nothing with Remedy. So, at the end of the day, they really need to hit big with this. This is coming in September. Decent, and I like to talk about the release dates for games. It's something that I just enjoy discussing. Gears 5 releasing on September 10th is decent enough. September, it's kind of it's hit or miss with the release schedule because there are so many games. At the same time, there are sometimes lulls in September. That week is pretty darn big. We have Borderlands 3 also that Friday, and then also NHL 20. Now, NHL doesn't really impact Gears at all, but Borderlands, I feel like, does. They're not the same game. They're not necessarily made for the same person, but they're both shooters, obviously different kinds of shooters. One is only Microsoft exclusive. One is on all consoles or all systems, even PC as well. So will Borderlands 3 hurt Gears? Will Gears hurt Borderlands? I feel like Borderlands is the bigger game. And that's weird to say because, again, I think when you think of Microsoft and you think of their exclusives, you think Halo and you think Gears. And honestly, in my opinion, that's it. But you think of those two games. Borderlands, I wonder if Borderlands will take away from that at all. So I don't know if that week is going to hurt or help Gears. I don't know if it's going to hurt or help Borderlands. I'm getting, ironically, both of them, and we're going to have tons of content on both of these games. I'm very excited, not just for Borderlands, but for Gears, mainly for this video. I'm very excited for Gears. I'm excited to play it. I want to enjoy the story. I'm hoping the story is decent. I want to try out the multiplayer. I want to see, I've played it before. I've played Gears games before. I've played Gears 4, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed what I've played of this franchise, and this franchise is a good, solid franchise. I don't think it's an amazing, the best out there. I don't think it's like average or below average. I think it's good. I think it's an above average game that definitely has always had and still, even in this game, has potential to be a very, very solid, a very, an amazing game. It's got that possibility and potential there. Up until this point, though, in my opinion, they've never been able to realize that. They've never been able to do anything with that, but we'll see if they can, in September. So, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think about Gears 5? Are you excited for it? Are you buying it? What are you looking forward to this game? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching. I hope to see you on the next video.